Hello everybody. So today's video, listen up. We're going to go over why these fires are so hot. How many are there? What's actually causing them to be so bad? Hello everybody. Welcome back to Starkey Farmstead. So my name is Sam. We have to talk. Have you guys heard the entire world is basically on fire? Folks, watch. Now this is a cool site you can go to. It's basically showing you all the fires worldwide. Look at that. Right now, today, all those red dots are fires across the entire world. So why is the world on fire? Well, of course it's climate change, right? Maybe not so much. First off, what we see is that anytime a fire starts, it's immediately tapped out. So when that happens, you have things like wood and pine straw and leaves and just things that need to burn that build up, right? So you've got fuel on the ground building up in mass amounts. Now, something else a lot of people aren't talking about is people like this gentleman who literally pushed a car into a ravine on fire and started the most recent park forest fire in California. One person started that entire fire. Yeah. So when you've got things like that going on, it can get a little confusing. But what I want to really talk to you about today, something I think a lot of people are just ignoring, is cloud seeding. All right. So I want you to think about this. Cloud seeding uses a lot of different chemicals, and they're not always honest. First, we can start with silver iodide. Okay. Now, what I found on silver iodide was a little bit confusing. First off, they try to say that it's not really flammable, but if it does catch on fire, be very careful, okay, because it is extremely toxic, all right? I've also heard that they're using things like anhydrous, and that is extremely flammable, folks, and it needs a special type of foam to put it out, okay? And then you've got some other chemicals that I found that are often used in cloud seeding, all of them extremely flammable. So why would I bring that up? Well, you've had cloud seeding that's been happening in the United States since the early 1940s. And several states right now have projects going on. But the thing about cloud seeding that upsets me the most is the fact that people seem to think that they're creating rain out of nothing. And that is not true. Basically, cloud seeding is stealing rain that is meant for another state or another town or another territory and forcing it to fall on your town. Yeah, you heard me right. It's stealing rain. Because you're not creating rain. You are actually causing the rain to fall in an unnatural timing so that your area benefits from it. Yeah. So it could possibly be used as a political tool to either punish or to prosper certain areas in an unnatural way. So I'm against it for that one thing because, I mean, really, can we trust governments to be fair and objectable? No, we can't. I mean, like, nobody's going to argue that with me, right? The thing about cloud seeding is that once you start putting these chemicals into the air, they're in the water, they're on the soil, they're in the plants, and they're also floating, right, all around. So then you get just a natural fire or an unnatural fire starts, and it makes it an extremely high temperature fire. And that's where I think a lot of people are like, we've never seen fires like this. Well, no. After almost 100 years of dropping chemicals from the sky, it's in the water, it's in the soil, it's in the trees. And now we don't care for our land like we used to. So indigenous tribes were very good about mass burning areas. They rotationally burned, similar to a rotational grazing situation with animals like we do now. They would burn the forest, or they burn areas, or they would allow them to burn on their own so that you didn't have a buildup of dry, dead materials underneath the trees, right? Which is fuel for a fire. Well, now we can't really do that. There are houses everywhere. There's buildings everywhere. There are structures, people's businesses. And so they can't do controlled burns the way that they need to. You have to fight with the EPA. You have to fight with the FDA. You have to fight with OSHA. You've got people out there screaming, what about the owl? What about the deer? Well, what about this little fox? I mean, one way or the other, folks, we're going to have to come to terms with the fact that controlled burns aren't actually a very good way to stop these fires from getting out of control. A lot of people ask me to talk about the similarities between the fires that we're seeing in like Canada and California right now, compared to the Maui fires that were in 2023. And I really can't, because I haven't had enough time to dig into pictures and firsthand accounts of what people are seeing. I can tell you this: fires are going to increasingly become a tool to be used to not only change the vegetative look of an area and the overall climate of an area, but to remove people en masse from areas that are maybe tagged, is a good word, for a future upgrade, if you catch my drift. So we do have to keep that in mind. But I really want you to understand that what we're seeing is, in my opinion, has nothing to do with climate change. It's got to do with poorly managed woods and forest. Like, they're just not doing the controlled burns as they should because of the reasons I've already listed. And now you have a bunch of chemicals everywhere that shouldn't be there that are all stinking flammable. So I don't know. Let's talk about it. What do you think? I mean, we know that the Park Forest fire was obviously arson. I've not seen anything come across that indicates to me that the Canadian fires have been arson or have been from a weapon of some sort. It doesn't mean it's not. I'm just saying I myself haven't seen that material yet. And so I think we need to keep in mind that we're going to see more and more of this. This is not a one and done type of thing, guys. It is a powerful tool to have in your arsenal, being able to basically flick a match and burn out 3 or 4 states. Because when I looked it up, look how many fires are burning in the United States right now today. That's a lot, folks. That's a lot. Yeah. So if you guys would like to support our Maui mission trip, we are going over there to bring money back to the fire victims who basically are fighting for their right to have their property. Because I don't know if a lot of you probably haven't seen this, but watch this.
Neighborhoods. The question is how the new rule will affect those homeowners and businesses when they rebuild. Among those watching the signals from the county are Front Street property owners who are mostly on the wrong side of that new erosion line and the 40-foot no-build setback. They've been hoping the county would let them rebuild the way Lahaina was.
There's no greed here. There's no wanting to go bigger, better, and it's just we want just to have our footprints back.
Experts who reviewed the rebuilding proposal say it's not clear whether the buildings that don't conform to shoreline setbacks, like those on Front Street, would be exempt from the shoreline rules. The county did not provide clarification, and shoreline preservation experts say rebuilding close to shore will be risky. The county has told us that right now any property owner is welcome to apply for permits to rebuild. But for many, especially in the restricted coast zones, it's not clear whether the county will grant the permits they apply for.
So you've heard people like me and several other content creators tell you guys, this has been a land grab, folks. From the very beginning, they wanted that coastal land. They wanted Lahaina, yet there were so many things in place that stopped Governor Green and his little minions from coming in and taking that property. Just 3 weeks before the August 8th, 2023 inferno burned out people from Lahaina, Governor Green did an executive order. And basically he said, we have an emergency proclamation issue. We don't have enough affordable housing. So I'm going to take control And I'm going to get rid of all the indigenous like watchdog groups that stop us from coming in and taking religious or historical sites and using them for housing. Yeah, workforce housing. That's what he called it. Like, ew, right? It's just so commie the way it felt. It was like communistic from start to finish.
Trauma that happened after the disasters was as great or greater than losing everything in a fire. And that says to me that we've got to be better at.
Fire survivor Charles DeHalle was moved 5 times, and he's not unusual.
This contract ends in February. We're all going to be on the streets again.
The survey by Maui Together of over 1,000 evacuees found 59% were moved 3 or more times, and in focus groups said constant fear of relocation with little warning wore on them, as well as feeling gaslighted, jerked around by the system.
Getting different people assigned to their cases and then having to go back and tell their stories all over again. So what are they doing? They're re-traumatizing every time they have to tell a story to a stranger.
Do you think it would have made a big difference if there was some kind of transitional housing within 3 to 5 months or 3 to 6 months than what they ended up with?
I really do. Having a kitchen, feeling comfortable having family in your unit, having a comfortable place for your pets. All of those things are basic life functions for a lot of people.
One survivor expressed his frustration in art, cartoons, one showing a fat cat with a crying face mask enjoying a free vacation while denying help, or this one showing an official drilling holes in a rescue boat.
Anyway, basically, Governor Green put that in 3 weeks before. He said, any natural disaster that happens from here on out, we're going to be able to take that land from you. Then the fires happened. And now they are taking the land. So we are going back. We're leaving August 1st. And we're going to fight for these people. Now, folks, I'm going to keep my eyes on these fires all over the world. But I am telling you now, this is their new weapon. And I don't know what else to tell you guys, but just pray. Be aware. God tells us repeatedly in the Bible, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Not on this channel, folks. We're going to arm ourselves with the truth and the facts, and we are going to fight back. God bless you guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. Now, this part of the video is extremely important. There's something called the Green New Deal. Most of you have heard it. If you've watched this far, you already know what I'm talking about because you've watched me enough to understand. I'm going to deep dive it. Now, lithium, right? Lithium is hard to get out of the ground. It takes an extreme amount of water, right? And once that water is used to cool off the lithium hole they're digging in the ground, well, it's pretty much toxic and not usable for you and I. So beside the point that they're wasting our water pulling lithium out of the soil, lithium is highly flammable. So you've got this Green New Deal. You've got a whole lot of states, Hawaii one of them, where you've got a lot of EV batteries. That's lithium. Got a lot of cell phones, got a lot of computer batteries. You have a lot of sustainable energy stuff. All of that's got lithium involved in it, folks. And once that starts burning, it's almost impossible to put it out.
The gas station was 90 miles back.
According to San Bernardino County Fire, the semi-truck overturned on Friday between Baker and Barstow, spilling lithium-ion batteries on the 15 northbound lanes. This causing air quality concerns due to the hazardous materials and chemicals in the area. Authorities say several attempts were made to move the container from the freeway, but the weight exceeding 75,000 pounds has proven to be an issue for crews.